Okay, Sspopiikimi, good morning. It is just about 10 o'clock in the AM on Sunday, October 28th, 2018, in the lunar cycle Sspopiikimi when cold arrives, our first of 7 winter moons. And I'm out in the area of Sspopiikimi this morning like I am every Sunday morning. I do a walk and talk out here. This morning I just had one participant or student, and that's often the case. But we had a good time. We arrived about maybe a couple hours ago, around 8 o'clock, and things were pretty dark. When we got up on the water, it was still pretty dark, and the birds were, for the most part, asleep. I mean, although we were waking them up just with our presence. But amidst those mallards and geese that were obviously on the water, I could also hear the cry of a widgeon, an American widgeon, one that I recognized. And the widgeons are kind of the last migratory waterfowl to pass through at the pond in most years, and the first to come back too. So it was still dark when we got there, like I say, but afterward, coming back around that side of the pond again, we were able to get a look at them, and I saw at least 2 widgeon drakes and a female. For the most part, they were kind of hanging around with groups of mallards. And so it's a little bit odd. I don't know if these are straggler widgeons or what, because typically we'd have a pretty tight-knit group of between 12 and 14 widgeons stopping here at this time of the season. Often they have one male Eurasian drake with them. You know, this has been a consistent a group that stopped here consistently over the years, but haven't seen them this year, just these stragglers with the mallards. So that's different. No herons, no kind of wading, shorebirds at all. Like not even killdeer, which is odd. There still should be some killdeer around. They're kind of the last of those shorebirds to leave. But yeah, no herons, no yellowlegs, no sandpipers, nothing like that. And looking over here right now, I see a big eagle in the tree. I'm gonna get out my other video recorder and get a close-up of him. Eagles always perch here along this cut bank in the winter. Me and my students saw one a couple of weeks ago fly by. This is the first I've seen hanging out for the season. See how close he lets us get. Hopefully he doesn't fly away. Pretty camouflaged, and most people will pass by and not even see him here in the trees. I'll try to zoom in when I get a good angle. It's not a fully mature bird yet. Doesn't got his nice white cap. Might have been born last year. Yeah, he's gonna hunt this little oxbow. It's pretty decent for fish once in a while, I guess, but especially for birds like ducks, that kind of thing. Let's see if we can get a look at him here. It's a big birdie. Always cool to see an eagle. They're a pretty impressive bird. For a lot of people, you know, they consider them the most sacred of birds, but me, I follow the tradition where corvids, ravens, crows, magpies take that position among the kind of perching birds, you know, and then the loon among the water birds. Any case, yeah, too bad Carol, my student, didn't get to see him. He was probably there, but we had gone, when we walked through, we went down through the forest here where we wouldn't have been able to see him. And we were looking for Oriole nests, because now that all the leaves are off the trees, one of the things that we do every year is scope out, count how many Oriole nests are here in the forest of Maine. And I think our biggest year was 2 years ago, where we were able to count 7 nests, and today we found 4. So there may be 1 or 2 more that we haven't spotted yet, just because we haven't walked past at the right angle. But the Oriole nests are kind of like woven, very delicately woven hanging baskets that are at the very tops of the trees. And I guess the fiber that's used in a lot of them is the milkweed fiber. So it's a pretty neat nest. It's sometimes hard to imagine how a bird the size of an oriole can sit and incubate in a nest like that, but you know, those fibers, delicate looking as they are pretty strong. I've managed to collect a few. Once you know where they are, you can kind of watch them through the winter, and you might get lucky. One might fall down, a branch might break, something like that, and you can look at it close up. Another thing that was really cool to see this morning was how vastly increased the beaver's food cache has become in just the last week. You know, from what we saw it the week before, they've really got a good pile now. I think a bigger food cache than they've ever had in any of the previous years that I've been studying here. So it's pretty big, and again, like in previous years, they've made that food cache in that kind of crescent shape that reminds me, you know, with its juxtaposition with the lodge and their scent mound out in front of the lodge and the crescent in between. You know, it really, to me, it's really reminiscent of the paintings, Blackfoot paintings that go on some of the offerings that have the sun and moon and morning star, the holy trinity of the Blackfoot world right there. So, you know, it's really cool to see the beavers producing that symbol here on the pond year after year. So after walking Carol out, I've come back in primarily because when we passed by these bullberries, I started eyeballing them. Last week I didn't see a whole lot of good bullberries still in this area of the Owlwood, but I noticed these ones here at the very north end are pretty packed still with some good berries. So I went and got my berry kit. Most of the bushes here have been picked over by birds and such. Porcupines also like to eat these berries. Raccoons, if they're around, they gorge on them as well. But yeah, since there's still some here, I'm going to take advantage while I can and do a little harvest before I go home. So I pretty much cleared out this northern stand of bushes. There's still a lot of berries there, but they're in areas of the brush that are probably better reached by animals and stuff. I try to make sure that as I go around the bushes and I'm bending branches and stuff, that I'm not bending them past the point of no return where they snap and break, and because these, bullberries are fairly brittle plants, so you got to be gentle with them. So I don't try to get things that are really outside of safe reach for me or the plant itself. Ended up with about maybe a quarter of a big grocery bag full of berries, which is decent for just spending a short amount of time. Maybe tomorrow, the next day, probably not tomorrow, because tomorrow I think I'm in Calgary. But maybe the next day I'll come out this way, see about some of these other berries out here. I don't know. There's a fantasy Ryan that some year is going to spend a lot of time harvesting through the summer and into the beginning part of winter and figure out ways to monetize that activity. But that fantasy Ryan hasn't fully emerged yet. Anyway, gonna be packing up and heading home now, and maybe back out here within a couple of days later in the week.